Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It's late here on the West Coast, Sunday, September 27, 2020. Just got back from Spokane and just wanted to talk about more evidence of how the Jesuits run it. And if you watched the work I did earlier this year when they announced the NBA was returning, I pointed out how the initial planned start date for to resume was July 31st, which is the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, died. And I talked about how at that same time they agreed on the baseball season, which was to end today, September 27th, the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome. And today on the Spokane campus, it was a lot of fun. For a while there was about at least a pack of 10 people that were listening to me and trying to get me with gotcha questions and prove it with this pick for tonight. And they wanted me to give them two picks for tonight for the night games, and they said who was going to win between the Saints and the Packers, and that one I just answered in a flash. I said, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers wins tonight. He gets his 126th career win. New Orleans 126." There's a big connection with the Jesuits in 126 too, but it's a lot of steps to explain. But Aaron Rodgers was golden to get his 126th win tonight, and he did. And they really wanted me to pick the Heat Celtics game, but I said, I got to be honest with you, this game's kind of dangerous. And sometimes it's dangerous, and I'll tell you why. I said, there's a big riddle with the Heat tonight to close it out on the Jesuit birthday. And I said, a bunch of young people I'm talking to, so I said, are you guys familiar with Pat Riley? Well, they all knew who Pat Riley was. And I was like, man, Pat Riley, lasting name. But Pat Riley's been around since before I was even around. But Pat Riley used to coach the Lakers and the Heat. And something we pointed out in the middle of last week doing the Patreon live Decode was that today, the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome in history, today was 191 days after Pat Riley's birthday, September 27th. And of course, Society of Jesus equals 191. And he's from Rome, New York. You know, he's a good Catholic, Pat Riley. And, you know, Lakers, Heat, his teams, well, now they're playing each other in the finals. But this perfect ritual with Pat Riley, and again, these Jesuit rituals in sports again and again. So what I told them tonight, I said, there's a good riddle for the Heat to close out the Lakers. But I said, if the Celtics get past tonight, they probably will come back and win the series. And I explained why sometimes it's tough, because I explained to them that 2 years ago when LeBron first signed with the Lakers, how we knew the Lakers would be in the finals this year. The riddle with LeBron signing on July 1st, a date written 1/7, and how this year's his 17th season, and he can get the Lakers their 17th championship to tie the Celtics, and NBA's 17. So I was explaining to him why things can be tricky. It can be easy to see who the champion is, but which team they're going to advance through, that can be a little bit tricky. But I said, man, that Pat Riley Jesuit narrative is something else. And I pointed out how today the 49ers, who were golden to win their game, even with their backup QB, I pointed out how their backup QB today was 191 days after his birthday, the guy who got to play in place of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I told him about how one of the games I was wrong about in football day, I didn't have my best day in football. I went 6-3 today, but my top picks were perfect, so that was good. But last week we did a lot better. 6-3 is not bad. I mean, most gamblers, if they place 9 bets and they win on 6, they're happy. But we do better. Like last weekend, we did a lot better. And one of the games I'm kicking myself for, and I wrote it in my notes, so if you stayed away from this game I'm about to talk about, my guys probably went 6-2, and they probably did stay away from this game, but I'm counting it against myself. But I wrote in the notes, here I'll just scroll to it real quick. I'll show you what I wrote. It's this Bills-Rams game. So what I wrote in the notes is this. I said, pick. I like that Goff and McVay, that's the quarterback and coach for the Los Angeles Rams. I said, I like that they can get their 36th win apiece because they both have the same amount of wins. And Buffalo is 36. And IHS is 36 on this Jesuit day. That's the Jesuit acronym IHS for Isus Hominum Salvator, which equals 266. Like Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the 266th pope. But I saw that the Bills coach, it was his 191st day of his age. So, anyway, before the Heat game started, I was explaining to these kids, I was like, well, already today you've seen 2 people with the 191 connection win today. Pat Riley can become the 3rd, and sure enough, he did. So, and usually that's the way it is. Once a pattern's hitting, that pattern is consistent. But there was a lot of big Jesuit rituals today, and I told people the safest pick of this week was the Steelers game, because the Steelers are owned by a Jesuit family, the Rooney family, Well, there was a few safe games. The 49ers were really safe too, but the Steelers had the best Jesuit ritual of the weekend. Tom Brady had the second best. Ryan Tannehill had the third. They all won today. But Mike Tomlin today got his 144th career win, and Jesuit order in the most straightforward cipher is 144. So the Steelers, owned by the Jesuit family, the Rooneys, on this very Jesuit day of all days, Mike Tomlin gets his 144th career win. Again, it just goes to show that week after week is perfectly scripted. And again, it's also to show that the Jesuits run the show. And you start to look at professional athletes, it's a very disproportionate amount that went to Catholic and Jesuit schools. And Jesuit programs are known for excellence in athletics, especially at the high school level. So, also comical. Notice how many points the Celtics went down with tonight. 113. What else is new, right? 113. The National Basketball Association 113. Michael Jordan 113. Kobe Bryant 113. Kobe Bryant passed Jordan in points scored 113 days after his birthday. His retirement poem, Dear Basketball 113. Only one team in the league, 113, the Utah Jazz, who he played his last game against. The Utah Jazz blamed for the coronavirus pandemic in the league, and the league was suspended on 11/3, March 11th. Coronavirus pandemic 113 declared that same day. So on and so forth. But, again, it goes beyond sports. What's going on in the world of news right now? It's Amy Coney Barrett, right? Amy Coney Barrett, the Catholic who went to Notre Dame. And, today's the 2-year anniversary of Brett Kavanaugh giving his sexual assault testimony that he didn't sexually assault Christine Blasey Ford, doing that on the big day for the Jesuits as someone who was educated at Georgetown Prep. Again, the big Jesuit ritual with the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Again, you guys, it's so clear who runs the show. It is the Jesuits. And if there's any young people out there at Gonzaga who spoke with me today who got a book, again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. And I hope you guys help create a little buzz on campus about this knowledge. And I know those gentlemen who I told them the Packers are going to win, I know that they're like, okay. And I know they really wanted me to give them that Heat pick. One of them really thought the Heat was going to win it, and he was right. And I was like, well, that Pat Riley from Rome, New York, on the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm just a little bit torn on who LeBron's going to face. So anyway, if you guys know the prediction I made for 2 years ago about LeBron in the finals this year, him facing his old team where he wore number 6 fits in with that riddle we were talking about. And 2 years ago, I was thinking that maybe he might face the Heat for his 6th championship. But I think instead they're telling us something about where he's going to in terms of championship wins. He's 3-6 right now, so he's going to get his 4th ring in Orlando like Kobe got his 4th ring in Orlando. And just check out things like this too. Lakers, Heat, head-to-head from this website, Land of Basketball. Look at this, you guys. Look at how many wins the Lakers are on. Do you see this? The Lakers are on 37 wins all-time against Miami. You got to win 4 to win the championship. Tell me who died this year at age 41. Would you tell me? Did the Lakers not just go through the playoffs each round 4-1 as we said they would on the... it's so ritualistic, you guys. Kobe Bryant's 41, dead at 41. Remember, Kobe Bryant 157, dead on his 157th day of his age. And LA's 41, and what do they call him? King James, King 41. So the Lakers put up 4 W's, and we got ourselves another King James ritual. And it's amazing how they script it year after year. What made it so complicated is had the Lakers played the Celtics, they could have got their 35th playoff win all time against the Celtics. And King James equals 35. And remember, the real King James became a king. He became a Freemason at age 35. And LeBron signed the $154 million contract, and King James is 154. And when he beat the Warriors on the real King James's birthday, June 19th, 2016, The Warriors went down with that 89 points on the real King James's birthday. But, yeah, they couldn't have scripted it any better. And the day the Lakers advanced, it was 271 days after LeBron's birthday, the day they advanced to the finals. That's the 58th prime. Kobe Bryant's also 58. Los Angeles Lakers 58. The real King James died at age 58. He was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. Rosicrucian's 58. Secret Society is 58. Freemasonry's 58. The real King James dead at 58. And it was also 199 days after Anthony Davis's birthday. He's from Chicago. 199 is the 45th prime. Chicago's 46. LeBron's trying to surpass Jordan in terms of legacy by the sheer amount of championships he took his team to. And again, LeBron wins this year. He's 4-6 in finals. In the King James Bible, Psalm 46, the 46th word from the front is shake, and the 46th word from the back is spear. And a lot of people contend that Francis Bacon is the real editor of the King James Bible. Or, well, that's not really disputed. What I meant to say is a lot of people contend that Francis Bacon, who was one of the main editors of the King James Bible, was really Shakespeare. And Shakespeare's got that 187 connection like Society of Jesus. And anyway, that's another story for another time. But yeah, you guys, I just want to let you know that things went very well in Yakima. They could have been better, but they went very well, and we closed out strong, and we talked to a lot of people, and we got a lot of young students who were enthusiastic about the work. And I know those young gentlemen who went and watched Aaron Rodgers win tonight, I know they're going to be believing a little bit more. And again, you know, you put this information in people's hands and you just let them use it, they'll be able to prove it to themselves. They won't need somebody else to prove it for them. You know, this work speaks for itself if you take the time to listen and pay attention and apply it. And I look forward to uploading these videos. I got to wait for the other gentleman who recorded to send it to me. But if they were recording in the spots that I think they were, you'll see how this group of students was grilling me. They all had a question and, you know, trying to get you a gotcha. And, all right, say this then and explain this. But, you know, I'm well researched on this, so I had answers for everything. They couldn't stump me even though I was going against a team of young, inquiring minds. So, anyway, I realized that working on the college campuses is the spot. And the other thing that just was so obvious in person was how if you can relate to the young people with things they're into, the work becomes a lot more interesting. Like I was saying earlier, one of them was scanning through my book in the crowd. He's like, "Oh my God, Pop Smoke's in here." And then they were all like, "What?" Oh, out of all the things in the book. But yeah, so I realized I could just write a new version of the book, just tailored for young people and all the stuff they're into, because there's so much there. But yeah, that's what we really got to do. We got to get these young people awake to it. And also what was cool is this morning while I was there, an older gentleman came by who I would guess was around 70 years old, and he said he was an alumni of the school. And he acknowledged, he said, "You know what? We do have great schools, but there is definitely some dark stuff going on within the Jesuits." And he was like, "Good for you for coming out here and shedding light on that." So, you know, even the people that everyone wasn't receptive, obviously, but a lot of people were, and people who weren't receptive, you know, things like if we can create a buzz on the Gonzaga campus and the copies of the book start getting passed around, things within it. Yeah, and you know, it was nice to just have it then be like, look, in the book, I talk about Bill Gates, 94 and 258. It's right here. And I finished this book before his father died at 94 on the 258th day of the year. There's patterns to this stuff. Everyone who I got to talk about that was really getting there like, wow, that is interesting. So anyway, and I also want to send a shout out to Arthur. Arthur, don't feel too bad. You did good research, and I was trying to tell you, man, that riddle you found with 213 in the Celtics, I said that could really be all about LA, because LA is the 213 area code, like the NBA Finals is 213. And it could be a signal that what they're really communicating is that LA is going to tie Boston. It doesn't necessarily mean that Boston's going to be in the championship. And that's why I was saying, don't get blindsided by these other teams that have a good narrative. At the beginning of the year, we decoded the NBA season, and we knew it was going to be the Lakers, but we were trying to figure out the narrative for who it was going to be. And at the beginning of the year, we saw that, there was a narrative for the Bucks. There was a narrative for Lakers versus Bucks, Lakers versus Raptors, Lakers versus Celtics, and Lakers versus Heat. And then after the whole Kobe thing, we even had to consider Lakers versus Philly. Now, realize, for people out there who don't understand, when you put in a future, and we saw that there could be a Lakers and Heat championship early in the season. So we're like, oh, that might be worth a future too, because you want to be covered. So realize, just say all of those paid about 25 to 1. If you have 5 bets in that all pay 25 to 1, if one of them hits, you've made a bunch of money. Because imagine you pay $100 on each of the 5 bets, right? You only need one of them to hit to make $2,500. So you lost $400 on your 4 that didn't hit, but the one that did hit, you get your $100 back and you get $2,500. You see? So the trolls are always trying to make fun because they're like, oh, Zach couldn't narrow it down to just 2 teams before the season started this year. And it's almost like the trolls expect me to do it every year because we've done it so many times. But sometimes you can see who the narrative is through, but you can, I was explaining this to these young kids today too. I was saying, because the thing is, we're looking for the numbers 35 and 46 for LeBron and the teams that connect through those numbers for the ritual. And all of these teams have that connection. So really, the Lakers could play any of those teams and the riddle would fit. And it ends up being versus the Heat, who they can pick up their 41st win against in a season that's been all about 41. And Kobe and the King in LA. But again, for people who make fun of this kind of strategy, you're just simply bad at math and logic. And I guess you're not doing what Big Al's been doing for years, making bank off this knowledge. And honestly, you guys, I think because we had so many people with these kind of future bets in to make this kind of thing, the majority of my followers bet on 5 dimes, but not anymore, because 5 dimes just a couple weeks ago told all their U.S. customers they're not going to pay out on basketball futures. And that's because a lot of people in this community stood to make a lot of money off these rigged finals. And we've been doing it for years. So this year they just pulled the ultimate shyster move and just said they're not even paying out on their futures. But again, ultimately what I want people to understand is it's undeniable that the Jesuits run the show, from the federal government to the sports games, and you know how year after year they sync it all up. So in the same old numbers. Heat put up 33 in the first quarter. NBA Finals 33. 125 points. Numerology 125. And that's what it is. Numerology all day. Heat winning 6. 4-2 to face the Lakers. Lakers 42. LeBron James 42. Everybody standing 6 feet apart. You guys notice, when you walk around in public, it's all these reminders about at least 6 feet apart, on the floor, on the walls. It's 6, 6, 6. And then about Claydex and how that was May 15th, 2018, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared, simulating a pandemic like this where they rush out vaccines. And anyway, just want to let you guys know I got back all right. And as soon as I have those videos, the footage from on campus, we'll upload that so you can see what that looked like. It was some good fun. And someday I might have to find a hidden camera and just blur out everyone's face just so you can see the not so fun moments too. But yeah, we'll talk about it more, True Seeker. I'm tired. And we'll leave it there. Until next time.